So we're going to talk about bad catch versus good catch today. We did a little side-by-side comparison of what a bad catch looks like. And really when we say a bad catch, what we're talking about is a dropped elbow. And I don't necessarily like to use that term, but that's the term that's used most frequently when it comes to talking about swimming. Um, so a dropped elbow to me is really just an internally rotated elbow. You'll see the side-by-side comparison and you'll see how clearly of a bad movement it is. It's a little bit more difficult to make that change and fix that habit, but we just wanted to demonstrate what it looks like so you can at least start to uh, attempt to make the adjustment yourself. So I hope this video is helpful. As always, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us on YouTube or by email. My email is Dominic, DOMINIC, at theswimbox.com. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope it's helpful.
Okay, so here we go. Here's an example of a dropped elbow. Um, if you watch the left side of the screen, you'll see the dropped elbow. If you watch the right side of the screen, you'll see a good catch. We'll say so. This is going to be like a good catch versus bad catch. First thing I wanted to point out is, if you look really closely, look at the elbow entering the water. You could already start to see the difference of what it looks like when someone enters the water correctly. Um, so on the right side, you can see the hand enters water first. On the left side, you can see the sort of the tricep or the upper arm is entering the water first, right? Classic demonstration of a dropped elbow. And a lot of people will enter the water this way just because of a poor recovery. So as we continue to watch, you can really see on the right side of your screen, there is a nice sort of uh, progression here, right? So it's fingertips and it's kind of almost rounded looking. And you look on the left side of the screen, you can see how it's almost flat looking compared to the right side of the screen. So there's a flat here and then it kind of comes up. It's a very awkward position to be in, for a swimmer to be in, I should say. But in real life, when you are pulling on land, your elbow automatically wants to draw back. So think about pulling a rope, your elbow wants to draw back, but in swimming it can't. So we see this position a lot of the time. All right, see, so if I drew a little sort of line there as if she was pulling on that line, that would make sense if she was on land. But what we really want to see is not a good land-based movement, but a nice sort of change of direction here in the arm. The elbow is forward, slightly rotated outward and forward versus on the left side of the screen where it's rotated inward and obviously down. So you can see a big dramatic difference now, right? Basically on the left hand side of the screen, complete opposite of the right hand side of the screen. And you can see basically three paddles on this side. So it's bicep, forearm, and hand on the right hand side. On the left hand side, the only paddle really is the back of the arm, which isn't a very good paddle. So as we travel through, you can kind of see that there's a paddle starting to be formed in the hand on the left side, but on the right side you can see very clearly the paddle is maintained all the way through. And just a little bit of a push on the left hand side that you get when you drop your elbow at the finish. Same or similar looking motion on the right hand side, where if you let your elbow rotate down as you attempt to pull, you lose your paddle. And if you focus too much on using your lats to pull, it will turn your elbow inward. So it's important to be cued on what muscles you're using when you pull. But what we don't want to have happen is you to focus too much on one muscle. And if you focus just on the lat, it's going to cause your elbow to draw back. So you have to think about it as you set your catch, just like on the right hand side here. So we set the catch, Shoulder blade is up really high, really forward, right? Once her catch is set, her shoulder blade is going to start to move back. Okay? If you kind of watch the left-hand side, watch her shoulder. As she starts to move back, her shoulder stays up high. See that? So she's overusing her trap in that position. My favorite cue to help people learn how to set a catch properly is once they've gotten to their extension point, and you can see on the right hand side here, once you get to your extension point, you try to get your elbow to pop forward and pop outward, and your hand should come slightly inward, and then you could set a nice paddle. I don't necessarily like to call this a dropped elbow. It doesn't make sense to me sometimes to call it a dropped elbow, but it makes sense on the left-hand side here. You can clearly see her elbow drop in that position. But as you start pulling, the elbow is more internally rotated than it is dropped. So that's how I like to think about it. There's an internal rotation on the left side, where on the right side, the elbow is kind of rotated outward. And it all comes from about right there in the back. If you don't use your back to extend your arm and to set your catch, you're going to end up using the front of your body, your pec minor, your pec, maybe your deltoids, to attempt to extend and attempt to catch. And those are not great pulling muscles, those are pushing muscles. And so you will end up in a position where you don't really keep a paddle. So I hope that you guys can see the difference. It's pretty obvious in these videos. But I also hope you understand how to create a good catch now versus letting your elbow drop like on this side. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.